we got trapped in a hotel during a hurricane in Florida. And so it was, I mean, like, I feel like should I say who this is?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I feel bad. I feel like I'm like giving away like secrets, but we can use it or not use it. But I did this movie called Like Father, and it was on a cruise. We shot it on a cruise, and I was in like a small part in the movie, and Marco played my husband in the movie, and we had like 3 or 4 scenes, and it was so fun. And my Lauren Miller Rogen, she directed it, and she's such a badass, and she wrote it, and she is a friend of mine, and she's like, it was so cool. It was like so exciting for Lauren, and we were going to do this movie, and we all had to, the cruise was leaving from Fort Lauderdale, and we were supposed to take the cruise twice, and it was an active cruise that people were actually on, and it was the biggest cruise ship in the world at the time. And as we're like getting ready to leave for the movie, this huge hurricane is like gonna hit Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and so they actually flew us out earlier so that we could be there during the hurricane, because they knew that like once the hurricane hit, nobody was going to be able to get in. So instead of staying in Fort Lauderdale, they flew us out to Disney World in Orlando, because the Disney World hotels are the only ones that like don't lose power, because at Disney World all the power lines are underneath the ground. So they put up the whole cast and crew in these hotels in Disney World. And they also moved in all these old folks' homes. Like every old folks' home like in the area got moved in there, because they can't lose power because they're on like machines and breathing machines and stuff. So it was the cast of the movie, and like every nursing home in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, like got moved into these hotels. And it was, in the movie, it was Kristen Bell, Seth Rogen, Kelsey Grammer, like Paul Downs, like a bunch of people, like a bunch of really funny other people too were in it. And I feel like, so we were living in this hotel during this hurricane, and Kristen Bell was such a champ. Like, she hosted bingo for all the nursing home people. She would like sing songs from Frozen at the piano at night for like any kids who like were stuck in this hotel at Disney World. She got us all passes to like Disney World. I think this all happened partially because she's like she's in Frozen. So I think she hooked this whole thing up. And we went to Disney World one day, and it was the day before the hurricane like really hit, and there was nobody there. And I think the next day was the first day Disney World had like ever closed or something, because they're like, we stay open, and it was closed the next day. And we just like hunkered down in our hotel, and then we went on the cruise. Like, the hurricane hit, we took these buses down to Fort Lauderdale. We like got to see all this like trees down, power lines down. It was like crazy. And the cruise was supposed to be 7 days, and I think it was like 4 or 5 days the first one, because they're like, we're still going, we're just leaving later. And so most of the people couldn't make it for the cruise. It was supposed to be 10,000 people on the boat. I think the first week there was only 1,500 people on the boat, so we had this boat like to ourselves. And then we did a second week on the cruise, and that week there was 10,000 people, and we were like, they've taken over our boat. Like, what are all these people doing here? We had like the whole thing to ourselves, and then all of a sudden it was different. Meanwhile, Marco's like doing real estate deals like in the room of the boat like the whole time, like freaking out about his like Wi-Fi signal. I'm in like 4 scenes, so I'm like have all this free time to like do whatever. I'm like going down the water slides. I'm like living up my life on the boat. One day we stopped I think we were in Jamaica or something. We were somewhere in Mexico, like Cozumel or something, and nobody was getting off the boat because they were shooting the movie. But I convinced, Lauren's cousin was on the boat, and I convinced her to get off with me. I was like, let's get off the boat and let's go to like I don't know, like Carlos and Charlie's or like something like on the beach. And Marco was like, I can't go, I'm working. My friend Jen was on the boat and she was like, I can't. She was in the movie too. And she's like, I can't do it. And I was like, no, I'm going into Mexico today. So we go into Mexico and I got my hair braided. Like just because I was like, oh, this will be funny. And so I got like half of my hair like braided like this. And then I got back on the boat and I had to shoot a scene the next day. But they were like, we love this for you. We love these braids for your character. Because I was like supposed to be a newlywed on the boat. So we kept it for the scene. And then we ended up doing reshoots of that scene in New York, but we did it twice because the first venue, I guess, wasn't big enough. So they had us come back to New York. But every time I would go back to New York, I had to get my hair re-braided. And it's like one thing to have your hair braided on a cruise in like Cozumel and whatever, just to be like, whatever, I'm like barely working on this boat and like I'm on it for 2 weeks. So I have my hair braided and I've gone like cruise crazy. It's another thing to be like getting on the subway in New York with like cornrow braids in your hair, like in the middle of winter, like walking around. So I kept having to get my hair braided, which I think was so funny. And yeah, I don't know. I think the behind the scenes of that movie, I wish that there was a documentary about the behind the scenes of us staying in that hotel and like waiting out the hurricane and then getting on the boat, because it was so funny. And Kelsey Grammer's such a good actor. He did say some inappropriate things to me a couple times and in front of the director and my husband. I feel like Kelsey Grammer likes young blonde women, and his wife was, I don't know, this part I'm like, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but he did say it. I think we all know he likes young blonde women, and he never remembered Marco's name. He'd always be like, hey, Brittany, how's it going? What's up, man? Marco was like, he has no idea who I am. And he like would make an active effort to say hi to me. And then at one point, Lauren, the director, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can say this. She was like, I was doing this scene with Kelsey Grammer and she came over and she's like, okay, Kelsey, you're blocking tiny Brittany. Can you just we just need to like change the spacing of this because we can't see Brittany. And I made a joke, like, oh yeah, like I have the body of a 12-year-old boy or something, like it's easy to block me. And he goes, not everywhere. I saw you on the water slides yesterday. And we were all like, what? Did he just, like, Marco was standing right here. Lauren, the director, was here. And we were all like, okay, he's just old, right? So like, he's just old. And he said that because he's old, right? Like, I never felt like unsafe, I wasn't like, oh, I'm feeling like unsafe and harassed, but I definitely knew he was like, hey, Brittany, like what's going on the whole time? And then we'd like go for reshoots and like, he'd like remember, he'd like come up and like be like, hey, Brittany, how's it going? And like, hey man, to Marco. It just was like it was so funny, but like, it's not appropriate, but like I didn't feel like, I felt like everybody was looking out for me and I was okay. But it's just like, wow, he's old. I feel like old guys, that's an old guy thing to do, right? All right. I was not expecting to talk about that. But listen, I don't know. Guys, thanks for watching. Maybe you'll catch me sharing more stories I shouldn't be sharing. And seems like I'm really warming up to this and you're about to get all the real tea. Okay. Talk to you next time. Bye.